Thank you for staying with Youth Cafe and choosing KTN News. Very quickly, let's take a look at some of the numbers of the 22 million internet users in Kenya. Yes, you are 22 million of you. WhatsApp, about 10 million Kenyans are on WhatsApp and another 6 million on Facebook. Instagram, 3 million, not too bad. Twitter, despite the fact that, KOT make a lot of noise there, you're only 2.2 million. Okay, LinkedIn, 1.5 million. Those are the statistics, as you can see. 22 million internet users in Kenya. WhatsApp takes the largest chunk, 10 million. Facebook, 6 million. Instagram, 3 million. Twitter, 2.2 million. And LinkedIn, 1.5 million. Now, also, there was a specific research that was done earlier at the beginning of this month by Geopoll, which tells us that 49% of Kenyans use social media to access general election news. So it's clearly a platform that is really driving this specific election. Allow me to introduce our panel this evening. Closer to me is Brian Bunde, who is a digital strategist. And if you're online, if you're part of those 22 million followers, I'm sure you know him. Brian, thank you so much for coming. And the next gentleman is Mark Kaigwa, the founder of Nendo, and also a very big person online. Thank you guys so much for coming. All right.
Can you introduce?
And Brian Aseli, who has orange shoes.
Hey,
fantastic. But I love how you're matching.
Asante.
I love it, by the way.
Nishida zimenifikisha hapa.
All right, so, Mark, I would like to start with you. Those numbers, 22 million is not a small number. Kenyans are online, and I'm sure a majority of these are young people. Now, there's this notion about social media that whoever is performing the best online is going to win. Take a look at Peter Kenneth back in 2013. That wasn't the case. Latest example, 2016. We all knew, or we had the feeling that Hillary Clinton is going to take this one because of social media. But then look how things turned out. Social media really doesn't, as much as it influences or impacts an election, it really doesn't say this is the final word. Please comment on that.
Sure, thanks, and I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me. So with some of the stats that you showed the audience just now, we've since updated them. I think we did a story together in December of last year, just trying to sum up how 2016 had been. So we still use the 22 million, even though we're pretty sure it's past that now. If you ask the Communications Authority, they'll tell you it's in the early 30s as far as internet users. That's according to them. And they have every right to claim and to track the progress with that. We do feel more often that the 20s are a safe bet, but it's actually possible.
More than
Stats
that.
are actually less. If you want to really drill down to unique users, it's potentially less.
And when you mean unique users, you mean like if you're going to go down to gender, region? Okay.
Well, more of the fact that some of the viewers and us here will have multiple devices. You've got a tablet, and you've got a desktop, and you've got a phone or several phones. Now, if you look at yourself as a unique internet user with multiple devices, it's possible that the devices are several per person. And so that's where we get the discrepancy. But I will say that in the case of WhatsApp, it's still clearly the leader. At our estimate, it's now at 13 million. If you look at Facebook, it's grown 1 million in half a year, which is tremendous. And then Twitter is the one that has actually gone backwards a bit. It's still the most influential, but yet has the smallest audience. It has 1 million monthly active users. That's both as evidenced by the studies that Nendo has done and by our friends down in South Africa at Dynamo. So overall, you have influence, even in some cases where the numbers aren't there. So you have, in this 1 million, you have social media, actual practitioners in there. You have early adopters of technology in there. You have journalists. And it tends to be that even mainstream media now picks a lot of cues from that. So politically speaking, it's not uncommon to see people constantly looking at the top 10 trends and either trying to gamify or manipulate what appears there, and doing that for either personal gain or political ends. And that's now where the big dark secrets of the web, where you have a small contingent of people. You have 7 times the same number on Facebook, yet you don't see as many people, even media houses, index or balance that out.
But even despite those numbers that you've just also clarified more for us, how a political individual does online doesn't necessarily mean that they will win the election. I think that's a narrative we get wrong.
I wouldn't say whether we get it right or wrong. What I might say is that people are learning that you can use this as some kind of measuring stick, but the true contest is on the ground. So even if we go back to the first social media candidate, Barack Obama, whether it's 2008 campaign or it's 2012 one, in truth, when people look back at that time, they see it was how he organized people, segmented people, targeted people. But there were people who still went every one of the 2 campaigns door to door. So the organization that's now come to be known, I think, as Organizing for America or Obama.org or the Obama Foundation, now that he's retired, that organization was tens, if not hundreds of thousands of volunteers who were activated by social media to spread messages, but would do real on-the-ground engagement. In Kenya, I would say the same is happening, but WhatsApp is actually the tool that's used. We just don't hear that much about it.
Oh, okay, great.
Utakubunga nawe. Na tumenyamaza sana. Na pia mimi ni Brai. Sijui tuanzishe chama. Cheki. Nataka kuuliza swali moja yenye naona ni kama wasee kwa WhatsApp group. Hiyo leta shida sana. Wasee ugombana kwa WhatsApp group kitu kama hiyo. Si unacheki?
Yes.
Unafikiria social media imetumika na politicians kuweza kudivide Kenyans in that iwasaidie hao na sio mayouth man?
Definitely, because saizi unaweza chiki kuna propaganda mobs na run on social media. Okay, especially WhatsApp. Kasa saizi kuna mse alienda ka fake that nilituma CV kwa water company fulani and imeenda viral ile mbaya. So mimi mwenyewe hata sijui source ya hiyo message, but uko down kuna watu wanacheka hadi mother amenisendia mi sijui hata story yote about it. So it's very possible for someone to actually create a certain conversation which they'll just share, and sisi as wa Kenya sisi ndio usak sana kwa ku-verify information. Hataenda Facebook, hata tutapigia mwenye tumeona kwa hiyo message, tutasema tu this is the fact and tutashare and or forward as received. Hivyo tu.
Unaonaje hii stuff ni dangerous because nimegundua social media vile tu inaitwa social.
Yes.
Ina affect the emotional part ya msee na haisaidii msee kwa brain, unaget? As in ni place poa ya okay music nini tunaweza share information and everything, but you tap into the emotion first before before you get kwa akili yako, before fikiri about it na kuongesha kufika kwa roho. So nauliza unafikiria most of the youth of course ni emotional, but wewe unaonaje, is it being utilized to promote peace as well?
It depends. It depends the angle that you're looking at it from, because kuna waseka kuna chagua peace campaigns, ukienda hata online check hashtag chagua amani. There are so many guys wanna push my messaging about peace on ground, pia on digital they're trying to push it. So they're pushing different messaging about when you go out, when you go to vote, when you're campaigning, and actually when you're on ground with your friends, how to deal with situations that cause violence and stuff like that. So pia wana try to create unity, but pia kwa watu wengine wenye wezi wana hiyo content, definitely once in a while watavurugana, wataanza kuzushiana and stuff like that, but hawajui definitely after elections there's life after that.
Wow. Yeah. Asili, I'm so glad that you brought in the issue of peace. We are seeing a lot of peace campaigns online, but don't you not think, because one thing that we like to do a lot is that we are keyboard warriors.
Yes.
We do a lot of this, but we never do offline. So as much as we're seeing a lot of this peace online campaigns, do you think young Kenyans are taking that same gospel offline, Mark?
I think that what I'd say is there's one particular campaign that's got my attention and certainly got me interested in how it happens. Next week, there's a group of individuals who are going under this label of what they call response-able, and they're getting into matatus. They're turning matatus and that ordinary route, which is either dominated by preachers or sellers, into a conversation people can have. Right?
Response-able?
Yes.
Wow,
So
okay.
you now have this opportunity where people are actually standing, addressing people. You talk about public speaking, you know, it's like the #1 thing people fear above anything else. And so here they are taking and actually putting themselves forward to say, and it's bigger than peace. I think that that peace is a consequence of several things. So I feel as much as all of us aspire for peace, I feel that it's a very easy thing. All of us actually aspire for that. Yes. In truth, it's the consequences and the ways and what it means to have peace that is now, I guess, negotiable, that everyone wants to bring something. And this is a campaign I'm excited to.
Brian, you're nodding in agreement. What are your thoughts on that? Would you also agree that we do a lot of this, but we need to go offline as well?
Even with brands, definitely what happens online needs to come on ground. Because you see, you can be preaching and guys on ground are just, maybe they're not even interacting with your brand, or they've never even seen or heard what you're talking about online. So even in terms of peace campaigns, definitely when you're talking about peace, go out door-to-door, campaign on TV and stuff like that, so guys can see what you're trying to push.
Okay. Yeah. So as always, Brian Asili went to the streets and had a chance to talk to you guys and ask you the issue of how social media is impacting this specific election. Take a look.
Hii ni Street Sense, na kama kawa mambo sawa niko mtaani nauliza mayouth swali moja. Wanafikiria social media ita affect hii election?
Social media ina affect elections sana, especially considering most of our youth tunakuanga online. tunajua kenye ina happen na more often than not inakuanga online live. Basically, tunajua what our leaders are doing through the tool, which is social media.
It mostly affect what the youth think, because most of us maybe don't really follow the news, so we kind of rely on other people to tell us what's happening, and it's a good way to keep informed. Yeah.
So do you think social media will affect the election?
Yes, I think it will.
Social media ina affect. Youth wana kwa social media. So hao wana post stuff ka hizo. Ita affect inaweza inaweza affect mbaya sana. You see someone posting like Team NASA, Team Jubilee, so everyone like posting positive stuff and negative stuff. So it will affect a very big way.
Nah, I don't think social media will affect how you vote exactly. Because at the end of the day, your opinion is your opinion. Whatever is said online, whatever people say online, whatever hypocrisy, whatever bad statement or good opinion people have about different people, as long as I respect the person I want to vote, and I think the person I want to vote for is the right person, then why not?
Kwa mfano sasa kwa Facebook, naona most of the youth wanaongelea about peace. So sioni kama kutakuwa na vita.
The voice of young people with street sense. And remember, we're also indulging you online. We are asking you tonight, do you think social media has changed politics, and how has it done so? Is it making politicking rather easier? Has it made politics worse? Has it made it more transparent? And there is no impact. We really want to hear from you. All right, so back here with the panel that we have in studio, I really want to hear your thoughts on this issue that a lot of people have been discussing with Chat with Uhuru that happened on Sunday. Then he missed the debate on Monday. So guys were like, do you think that the chat that you had online was... Exactly. But in regards to that, and also hashtag Road to Cannon, hashtag Uhuru Tano Tena, the content that is being created around this, do you think that it relates to young people, that it's their way of sort of getting that young vote? Mark?
I think part of it is we've got to look back in time. So if you look back at the last presidential debate, we actually were doing social media monitoring. Then this 2012, or beginning of 2013, because we went for the election in March. And at that point, it's actually the presidential aspirant, Abdu Badida, who he came out of quote-unquote nowhere to just win over social media. So they had, they had memes about what he was saying. They put his face on, basically they put his face on all sorts of different scenarios because they thought, wow, here's a guy who speaks for us, speaks plainly. And it wasn't about the politicking with him. It was about really just speaking to the population. So it feels in some ways like a slightly missed opportunity this time around, that we didn't really get to see somebody capitalize, knowing that the staying power outside of the debate is actually with social media and with almost one-liners or quips. You saw this in the US, everywhere else, where people will take your words and graphic designers will make also, we have an archive, maybe I'll share it online after, just of all these interesting memes that came. So this time, whether it's the chat, to be fair and to give some credit, in terms of Facebook Live, they've come involved in a big way, and it was something to say yes to that. Of course, Kenyans have their opinions about the missed appearance at the debate, and people have now gotten very used to turning many of either the presence or absence of someone, or even what they've said, into memes and content that can be shared. Because for us, social media's true impact, I think, politically, is around the spread of information. The 5th of August onwards, campaigning isn't allowed. But let me tell you, social media that time, the audience is going to see more ads than they've seen so far.
Brian, you are to say, one of those people behind those memes that we see. Yes, the memes especially. So my question is to you, Brian, all right? I want you to hear, really want to hear your comment in regards to memes, and how even the hashtags, like I said, Road to Cannon and Uhuru Tano Tena, how they really drive their political messages to attract that youthful vote. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, I would comment on both hashtags, because I've seen both hashtags being pushed primarily, let's say, with the 36 bloggers guys who've been paid just to talk about.
Mark is laughing.
Yes. Wi-Fi too strong.
So especially, okay, when you see content out there, guys, stuff like memes always attracts attention.
It does.
You see a platform like Twitter, when you attach text to images, guys will be curious about what you're trying to communicate to people online. So with memes right now, guys have realized that if I make this conversation funny, guys definitely talk about it online. Guys will try to jump on it, or definitely you'll find guys from the opposing team jumping onto the hashtag and saying, no, this is how things are happening, and they'll just try and battle you. So let's like Canaan right now, guys are talking about how the land of Canaan will be, the benefits and stuff like
that. Wacha nikukat short kidogo. Ningependa kuuliza swali. Unaonaje hizi stories za hate speech? Ase wanabonga. Wewe unataka kuspread hiyo video, maybe utaki ikue vulgar. So censorship kwa hizo videos. Kenyans wenye wanatumia social media wajui kucensor some parts. Don't you think inafanya hiyo information inakuwa pervasive like all over the place?
Yeah,
what's your take on that?
It's quite a challenge. So I think that on one hand, you know, just yesterday I was hearing about a case of where somebody, you know, for their political views, somebody really chose to spread some, you know, some very personal images about the person. Just basically what, you know, a form of retaliation that's quite big, simply because of a difference of political opinion. You know, we're all free to have our opinions, and we have the freedom to express that. Of course, you hope that people will be wise. The challenge becomes when you want to express an opinion, and it's true, people can agree to disagree, but now in a place like WhatsApp, or online channels, you both have people who are slightly anonymous, and you have people who basically relish that idea of, you know what, I'm really going to say things that I know will press your buttons, and then I'll leave you, or I'll exit the conversation. I won't exit the group. Then, you know, back and forth. So sometimes it's the forwards we choose to send. But the biggest thing for me is for people to exercise caution, because in some cases, like you're alluding, there's people who actually write and compose these forwards, knowing that me and let's say the three of us will see it and forward, and yet it might not be true. So for example, you have one, I think, that was signed off by a Kenyan ministry that asked every one of us to self-censor, you know, so don't speak up, don't express yourself on digital channels. That's trying to trick you into getting you and all of your family to be quiet when you have a right, even in the Constitution, to express yourself. So it's a balance. You have a responsibility, but at the same time, you have the freedom to express yourself.
All right. We're going to come back with a few thoughts, but Aseli.
Of course. Si upenda wasanii na si upenda kuwapatia opportunity ya kujiexpress, na kuna ka segment kanaitwa Art Corner. Mazejo wase udunda hapa hivi na ideas kali. This week kuna dem moja super kuruka, sijui utajudge kama ni super, but inaitwa DIY, do it yourself, how you can be able to do artistic stuff on your own. Check his story.
My name is Faith Avia Kyoko, and nicknames, I just like Faith. I don't like nicknames, but people call me Favia because of Faith Avia. Some people just call me Faye, which, yeah, I prefer Faith. I go with Faith. So I am a crafter. I do DIYs and crafts. I've been doing it officially for a couple of months, but for a very long time unofficially. So DIY stands for do it yourself. So I just do simple things that anyone can do by themselves. Can teach sometimes people how to do it, or just make simple stuff look nicer. You can say maybe 3 to 5 years. Yeah, if I ballpark it, 3 to 5 years. I started off with small things, and then I started doing more and more stuff, venturing into different types of crafts, and then yeah, it became a thing. I got into DIYs. I was pushed into it. Something my mother thought I would be good at. She's like, you should do this, you know, you'll be good at it. And I tried it out. And then for a while I did it as a hobby, and then I started getting a lot of requests to do it for business. Then after a while it grew into business. But it started off as a hobby and just learning new skills. So some of my challenges as a crafter is learning new skills every day. Because sometimes with DIY it's anything, it's any material. So you have to keep on learning new ways of doing things. Yeah, I think that would be my biggest challenge. My second one is finding the market and how to sell my stuff. I do a lot of deco for events, like weddings, showers, birthdays. If it's something unique and different, theme-wise. So I have tried Facebook, just social media. I have a Facebook, Instagram page, and a blog. So in my blog, I show people how to make the stuff I'm making. And in my page, I post some of the stuff I make, so people can, you know. Getting materials is a really big challenge for me, yeah. Because some things I have to import, some things I have to find locally, and sometimes they don't exist, so you have to improvise. I like to learn new things. I'm interested in learning new stuff. And I'll have a lot of people who challenge me, which is great, because they tell me, oh, can you make this? And I'm like, give me a few weeks, I'll get back to you. If I can do it, I'll let you know. Yeah, so that's for me is a challenge. I love art. I think it's not really something that people appreciate as much as they should, but I love art. I have for a very long time. So yeah, it inspires me. Like seeing other people do it also, it gives me psych. Apart from the DIYs and the crafts, I also teach DIYs and crafts to kids, and I do it at the Creative Garage. And yeah, it's a once a month affair right now, on a weekend, on a Saturday. It's a 3-hour class. The kids come, they get a chance to be creative and just do other things. And I also sell some of the stuff I make at the flea market. So you can find me on Sundays at the K1 flea market the whole day. So we showcase our stuff there. If I was not doing DIYs, I think I just have a normal job, like most people. I did business, so I'll probably be in marketing. So I tell guys, you try learning new things and practicing. Practicing is the only way you get good at anything. So you learn new things, practice, and keep at it, and something good will come from it.
So remember that if you want us to showcase anything that you're doing in regards to art, tweet us, use the hashtag Youth Cafe, tweet Brian to Brian rather, at Brian_Asilio at Zinzi_K. So we really want to close up this conversation. But before we do so, Mark, I want to really hear your thoughts on fake news. Geopol said that 49% of Kenyans are getting their information on this general election on social media. Facebook and WhatsApp were the leading platforms for elections. Fake news is for sure a place that thrives a lot on social media. We also saw it with the US election, and it's happening here in Kenya. Young people need to be sure of the information that they're reading. Comment on that.
Yeah, I think fake news is a loaded term, and I think I've said this before. I'm not inclined to use that because it means one thing to Donald Trump and his supporters and everyone else. I prefer false news. It's clearer, it's clearer cut. And then we also have various flavors of false news. You have propaganda, you have misinformation, disinformation. And so what I'll just, of course, urge our viewers and the audience to do is just to be vigilant, because people are taking advantage of your intrinsic desire to spread and to share things. So, for example, it's not uncommon to find, and we have dozens and dozens of case studies, including some forwards that are old messages from message boards, Nigerian message boards from the early 2000s. Somebody changed it and even added emoji and then sent it. And here the 5 of us are sending it to every contact in our address book. All right, so people have been prepping you so that when they share now something different, something local, there you are haplessly forwarding it. And we're seeing sophistication with false news. You're seeing people take videos of the CNNs and your BBCs and CCTVs, all these global media. You're seeing even, I remember one that looked so convincing to me, and it's my, my team and I, it's our job to basically spot and call it out. There was a screenshot from one of the media houses that said that the elections had been postponed, and the timing, if you had your data off and you just downloaded this image, I remember what I felt, and just the surprise and shock. So, yeah.
Wacha nikukat short kidogo mpaka Brian abonge. Bonge story tusikie. Fake news msee.
Problem with fake news is that definitely Kenyans won't verify. So I will share with my friends, then my friends will share with their other friends, and automatically, without guys verifying, stuff is trending. Guys need to watch out about everything that they share. It's easy, just take the screenshot, especially pictures, just go on Google, load the image, automatically you'll get the source of that image. There's an accident that happened, I think, in Nigeria, and guys didn't know that it was fake. Guys were just claiming, oh, it's Mombasa Road, avoid Mombasa Road. Guys tagged Mathri Route. Mathri Route automatically retweets any tweet that it's tagged on, so automatically it went viral. But guys didn't know what was happening. So just make sure that you verify every information that you get.
Final comments. I really want to hear from you very quickly. Final comments on social media, especially for young people during this election period. Mark, very quickly.
I think the stakes are high. So be careful what you forward. Ask people to prove it. When you see it the first time, just say, where did you get this? Or say, prove it. Because now you've shifted the work to the other person to now come and say, yeah, I've seen it in 3 other places. Because people are taking advantage of the trends. So those trends can be hijacked. They can actually be manipulated. So you believe, well, the whole country is talking about this. No. So just be careful and just exercise good judgment, even with the links you share, the forwards you read, and how much you believe.
All right, Brian, very quickly, you?
Stay smart online.
Stay smart.
Just remember that when you're talking about let's say, going to Canon or Tano Tena, remember that maybe your future boss is just watching your tweets.
Okay.
So maybe they might be supporting other teams, so just stay smart online.
Brian Bunde, who is a digital strategist, and Mark Kaigo, the founder of Nendo. Guys, thank you so much for driving this conversation this evening. But as always, we just really want to take a look at what you're saying online. 585 of you have voted on today's Twitter poll question, and we were asking you, do you think social media has changed politics, and how? More transparency actually has gotten the bigger percentage at 46, followed by it has made politics worse at 31%, and politicking is easier rather at 16%, and there is no impact voted by 6% of you. 585 votes. Aseli, any tweets on your end?
Nakuambia kuna msanii anaitwa Mark Mchuma anasema yes, it has helped us engage our political leaders without necessarily knocking on their doors. Alafu kuna msanii anaitwa Agri Witi anasema it has eased exposure of most malicious activities and helped update citizens more faster. So sijui kama hiyo ndio watu kwa Twitter wanasemaje?
All right, on my end there's one that says it is a tool that has created transparency, but we cannot deny it. It has been used to misinform the public too. So how are you choosing to use social media during this political season? As you've heard from both Brian and Mark, be very careful. Verify information before you continue spreading it, be it on WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, and so forth. But as always, thank you so much for choosing KTN News on this Friday night. You have been watching Youth Cafe. My name is Zinzi Kibi. Good to have yourselves a lovely evening.
And the hottest man in Eastern Central Africa, Brian Aseli, Ustake Jua. Each and every week tuongea about peace, lakini to preach on the ground, tuache kupiga story, Twitter, na Facebook, na social media. Have a good night.
Youth Cafe in association with Coca-Cola.
I don't even know if I'm alive. Oh, without you now, this is what it feels like.